Up with KREM begins now.
Well, Gonzaga is just 2 wins away from doing something that hasn't been done in 45 years.
It just says that there's another team that has gone undefeated.
We talked with a former player for the Indiana Hoosiers who played on college basketball's last perfect team.
And 19 years after his time on the team, Winston Brooks is still cheering on the Zags. Now he's cheering them on as a Spokane police officer on the patrol anti-crime team.
And the Zags, of course, taking on UCLA tomorrow. We've got 3 things you need to know about the team standing between Gonzaga and the championship game.
And the sunrise is here when we will see lots of sunshine not only today on Schweitzer Mountain back here in Spokane, but lots of sunshine for this weekend as well. Your Easter forecast here on Up with KREM.
Well, Gonzaga men's basketball coach Mark Few finished runner-up for the AP's Coach of the Year award. This morning, we want to know, what do you think? Should he have won Coach of the Year? You can vote in our Twitter poll live right now. As you can see, 94.4% of you say, yeah, he should have. At one point it was 100. Of course, that was early voting, but it's never dropped below 90 throughout the morning. You can text us your thoughts as well at 509-448-2000. And of course, in a pandemic year like this, Brenna, what do you think? Do you think that's even more of a case that Mark Few should have gotten Coach of the Year?
I thought he was going to get it, but, you know, maybe I'm just not tuned into the national media enough there. I think that it's really impressive that he was able to live up to every expectation for this team, and that's really hard to do in college basketball. It's even harder to do going undefeated. It's not something that happens all the time. Now, Gonzaga is 30-0, and like you said, Josh, they are just 2 wins away from doing something that hasn't been done in 45 years. The Indiana Hoosiers were the last college basketball team to go undefeated. Mark Hanrahan caught up with a player on that squad to talk about what that season was like and the idea that Gonzaga is on the cusp of doing the same.
If they do that, they'd be the first team to do that since your team back in '76.
Yes, and it'll be a great thing. I look forward to it.
Captured in this black and white photo, Quinn Buckner on the right, his teammates Scott May and their coach Bobby Knight cut the nets down in Philadelphia after beating Michigan to win the national title. The year was 1976.
Indiana is the national champion.
They capped off a perfect season for the Hoosiers. Indiana went 32-0 that year, something no college team has done since. But this year, Gonzaga is knocking on the door, and Buckner says he's rooting for them.
It's one of those things like everything else in life. Everything changes, but it doesn't, I don't think it denigrates or says anything less about the 76 team. It just says that there's another team that has gone undefeated. More importantly, winning the national championship.
Buckner knows a few things about winning championships. He won state titles in high school basketball and football, a national title in college basketball, an Olympic gold medal, and an NBA championship. That's him next to Larry Bird. It's why when people ask him about the Hoosiers' perfect season, he tells them what he really cared about was winning the title.
It is important to me because it was along the way to win the NCAA championship. Short of that, being undefeated wasn't important. I was more interested in winning the championship because that's, my dad raised me that way.
Buckner, who now works as a TV analyst for the Indiana Pacers, says he's impressed with Gonzaga's play this year and that they have the ingredients to win the title. But at this point, he says, that shouldn't be the focus.
Stay in the moment. Don't get looking ahead about being undefeated. Stay in the moment, stay in the possession, and win that possession. That's all you can do.
45 years ago, Buckner and the Hoosiers pulled off a perfect season. Gonzaga is now just 2 wins away from doing what no other team has done since.
I wish the Zags all the best and, you know, just stay in the moment.
Buckner said that the Indiana Hoosiers in 1976 did need some luck to stay unbeaten, and he expects for Gonzaga to need some luck over these next 2 games to pull off the same feat. As we know, Gonzaga basketball runs deep in Spokane and means a lot to their alums, including the plethora of former players that now reside in the area. One of those former players is point guard Winston Brooks, who played for 4GU from 2001 to 2003. He's now a Spokane police officer. He says watching the rise of this team has meant a lot to him.
Every year for the last 15, 20 years, I've been in the spotlight, rising from underdog to the favorites, which is amazing to see from a small community that we're in.
Brooks says he plans to watch the Zags take on UCLA on Saturday from the comfort of his own home. He is going to turn his phone off and be locked in. He expects the Zags to win by 15 points. Now, of course, Gonzaga, the center of the universe in Spokane, but we also want to educate you about their opponent come Saturday. Here's what you need to know about UCLA heading into this matchup. First, UCLA is the 11th seed and have continually proven their doubters wrong. Definitely the tournament's Cinderella. UCLA won in the Elite Eight over Michigan by just 2 points, finishing the final score of that game being 51 to 49. During that game, sophomore guard Jaime Jaquez Jr. scored a season-high 27 points. He has reached double figures in 7 of the last 8 games. Another player to keep your eyes on is sophomore guard Johnny Zhuzang. He scored 28 points in the Michigan game, his second highest total of the season. He is currently leading the NCAA tournament in points scored. UCLA has appeared in the NCAA tournament 49 times. Yes, they are considered a blue blood, even if they haven't done so well over the past few years. Out of the nearly 50 appearances, they've made it to the Final Four 18 times and left with the title 11 times. Their last tournament appearance was in 2018, where they lost to St. Bonaventure in the opening round. Their last appearance in the Final Four was in 2008 when they lost to Memphis 78-63. Gonzaga and UCLA have faced off twice in the NCAA tournament, once in 2015 and once in 2006. The 2006 game, yeah, everybody knows what I'm going to talk about here. It ended in pain for Gonzaga fans. Gonzaga was up 10 with about 6 minutes left, but that's when the collapse began. UCLA stormed back and won the game in the waning moments. Adam Morrison crying on the floor, blah, 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 blah. We've all seen it. In 2015, Gonzaga blew that game open, though, in the second half, and they had fun doing it, too. 74-62 was the final in that one. Don't forget, you can watch this Gonzaga versus UCLA matchup in the Final Four right here on KREM on Saturday at 5:34 p.m. We will be live in the morning at 10 a.m. getting you ready for this game, and we also will have the post-game presser on our airwaves once this game concludes. Reporting in Indianapolis, I'm Brenna Green, KREM 2 Sports.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Brenna. And Brenna, I do have one question to ask you. I heard that the fans, even though it's limited, are getting so loud inside the arena. Is that true?
They were louder in Hinkle just because of the fact that Hinkle is smaller and not as cavernous as Lucas Oil. But I will say, that section, especially the section that has all the parents in it, they were rowdy during that Elite Eight game. I think there was like 5 or 6 standing ovations. They were so stoked on this team. It was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are going to have plenty of fun watching them. Thanks again for all of your coverage early this morning, Brenna. Stay warm out there. I know it is a cold morning in Indianapolis. Temperatures there in the 20s. A lot of areas east of the Mississippi dealing with some pretty cold weather this morning. Not here. That is an absolutely beautiful sunrise here in Spokane. Our temperatures only bottomed out at about 39 degrees, and we are going to enjoy some plenty warm temperatures. And don't worry, Indy's going to get warm enough. They got some 60s for this weekend, as do we as well. Some low 40s still hanging on to this morning, but we will be warming up quickly because it is all sunny all across the state. That bodes well for our high temperatures. Should easily get in the 60s for today. So a sunny morning, maybe a few afternoon clouds, but high temperatures should be in the low 60s as they were yesterday as well. Should be a pretty nice weekend ahead of us, but I'm tracking one small rain chance on Easter Sunday. I have more on that coming up in just a few minutes.
Well, Easter is just around the corner this weekend, and if you're thinking about gifting a bunny, and I'm not talking about a chocolate bunny, you might want to reconsider.
Think that they're cute. They think they'd be a great addition to an Easter basket. And the truth is, again, if you're not ready for a rabbit, they are a pet that requires quite a bit of commitment.
Veterinarians and wildlife experts say they see a spike in bunny adoptions during this time of year. The ones that end up in shelters are lucky. They say it's the domestic ones that are released into the wild that pose the greatest risk.
Ecologically, there's never a good outcome to releasing domestic or feral animals into the wild.
What we know of RHDV, or the rabbit hemorrhagic disease virus, is that it can cause significant mortality.
A new viral disease is infecting wild rabbits across the country. The virus caused sudden death in rabbits and can be spread from animal to animal. Idaho documented its first case last week in 2 dead rabbits in the Boise area airport. So it's best to skip the Easter bunny this year, or make sure your family is definitely ready to adopt. And if you're a Zag fan, listen up. We're talking about the Locked On Gonzaga podcast, hosted by Zag graduate Stephen Carr. This morning, he joins us live to talk about the team's chance to win the NCAA tournament.